Hey, this is Matt. Once again, we're about to end the videos. The paid request is time from Mike, OCP Communications. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for the 1991 film Backdraft, which been a while since I've seen this film, and it's still an enjoyable movie. I wouldn't say I love it, but I do like the film. It's directed by Ron Howard, who of course directed Splash, Apollo 13, Ransom, among many other films. It stars Kurt Russell, the man himself. You got Robert De Niro, Scott Glenn, let's see, William Baldwin in the movie, Rebecca De Mornay, J.T. Walsh. A lot of recognizable people in this. Jason Gedrick from the first Iron Eagle movie. I think was it Jason Leigh. Donald Sutherland. So you do have a great cast. You have a wonderful soundtrack. Bruce Hornsby's songs work well, but I love Hans Zimmer's score. Hans Zimmer's score is fantastic in this movie. When there are the fire sequences, they're very cool to look at as a spectacle. This is all done for real in camera, these fire effects. And the sound design, and just, they really did a great job. Now, from what I understand, if you talk to actual firefighters, from what I understand, firefighters think this movie's a joke. They think this movie is a goof. They think this movie is silly. And apparently a lot of firefighters don't like this movie. Just because, in reality, when you go into a fire, there's a lot of smoke. There's no way you could see this stuff. So, it'd be very hard to do a movie of this nature that would be realistic because you wouldn't be able to see anything. But I think some people in the firefighting community felt that the film was just very over the top, especially the part was thinking that fire was like a living thing. Just like the arson investigator Robert De Niro thinks that. Even seems like William Baldwin's character kind of imagines that. I thought it worked for the story of the film, the artistic license. The movie, you have William Baldwin, Kurt Russell as brothers. Baldwin's character sees his dad die, which I thought was a weird choice. They have Kurt Russell playing the dad character, but I guess kind of like the dad will be reminiscent of the older son who's gonna about being a firefighter, so like father-like son, while William Baldwin is of a different sort. But anyway, William Baldwin is a kid. He sees his dad die during one of these excursions. He grows up. He's gone from job to job. Doesn't really know where he fits in until ultimately he does join, ultimately, Kurt Russell's firefighting group. And there's a bit of montage of he's trying to get his wits end about it, while Kurt Russell is very gun-ho, and he goes head first into these fires, even when some people tell him to hold back. But it's like, I just need to do it, and there's people in danger. Kurt Russell's character is separated from Rebecca De Mornay because De Mornay is afraid that one day, he's going to die, and you always have to be right. So there's friction between those two. William Baldwin has a little bit of a fling with Jason Leigh's character, who's working for this guy who's tried to be mayor, played by J.T. Walsh. May you rest in peace. Kurt Russell keeps giving William Baldwin more and more crap, more and more shit, until ultimately William Baldwin's like, you know what, you're right, you win. Kind of leaves and ultimately becomes working with Robert De Niro, who's an arson investigator, because these fires are being started and someone is doing it, but in a weird way, someone's doing it, but they don't want the fire to spread, which is not like what arsons potentially do. So we have a different type of person doing these. Now, again, the presentation of the firefighting sequences, you have some insane, well-crafted, in terms of spectacle, fire sequences. And I think Ron Howard really showcased some awe-inspiring moments because of that. And interspersed with Hans Zimmer's music, which Hans Zimmer is one of my favorite composers at this, especially at this time. This one, Days of Thunder, Broken Arrow, he has a lot of bangers, so to speak. Some of my favorite soundtracks of that time period. Because it really got your adrenaline pumping with that stuff. And there'd be music in this where they'd be using trailers, like I think in Jurassic Park trailer, that which is basically just both of a universal. And when I'm talking about some awe-inspiring moments, like there's a bit in the third act where our characters are on a rooftop and there's explosions, and you have Baldwin's character running, and there's a wide shot where you see the roof collapsing and you see a guy like running. I'm like, how the hell did they do that shot? Or there's a bit where Kurt Russell and Scott Glenn, and they're in a chemical plant, and the camera pans up, and you see both of them facing each other, while in the background there's all this fire and all this like explosions happen, barrels, and you're like, this is how the hell did they do this? Nowadays, every single bit would just be planned to CGI. CGI fires, a lot of it's done. Like I said, I don't know how the hell they did it, but it looked pretty damn impressive to this day. And I did with that and the music and the way that Ron Howard shot the fire. When William Baldwin at the end has to get the hose, and you see the fire slowly coming in, and he turns, and you see the fire like push back because of the water. You can't make this film today, and they tried with Backdraft 2, which was such a garbage movie. And funny enough, I know I've seen that. I think I reviewed it, and that was with the shitty microphone. Maybe one day. Although I'm not going to watch it on my own. Maybe re-review one day with this better equipment. Because I just know William Baldwin dies in the movie. Spoiler alert. If you ask me anything else I remember Backdraft 2, I don't. Nobody else does either. But, like I said, there's not a ton of fire sequences. There's, I was like the set pieces. There's the initial one where William Baldwin has joined the crew, and it's him and Jason Gedrick. They kind of, they're close friends, and they're in the same group. And Kurt Russell's and the team are leading them around. Yeah, Kurt Russell, his buddy Scott Glenn. Like I said, really good cast. Aside from one, which I'll get to. And you have that sequence. You have another sequence where they're looking through these doors, and sadly Jason Gedrick doesn't check it. And when he gets it open, the fucking explosion is just mind-numbing. And the way they make it look, where it's the guy's on fire. Kudos to the stunt people. And the way Ron Howard handled these scenes. But I know like this is a film that some critics blast on nowadays. Because they go, well, how come there's so many movies back then that people talk about now but don't talk about Backdraft? There was some article. I forget what it is. I know, Mike, you'd be pissed at this article. I forget what the hell the Collider. Backdraft is a hero worship blockbuster best left in the 90s from October 2023. So we should get Mike to react to that article. He would have a field day. I agree with this guy's opinion, but it's not that bad of a movie. But it's talking about how it tries to do all these elements but doesn't do it well. Because it's so over the top, and it's one of those things that I appreciate what they're doing. And to me, it does make it memorable by being this bigger than life attitude with the fire. But it's like, I'm not going to an article because I'd go on too many tangents. I mentioned the spectacle and the music by Hans Zimmer. They complement each other beautifully. The movie is a bit long. It's over 2 hours long. I don't think it need to be that long. The back and forth between the brothers are fine. I'm not the biggest William Baldwin fan. I do think he's one of the sticking points I have with the movie. Apparently, there were people like Robert Downey Jr., Keanu Reeves, Brad Pitt, other people that were up for this role. I kind of wish any one of them got this. Like, if Robert Downey Jr. played this role, or Keanu Reeves had played this role, I think it would have worked out better for me, because I'm not a big William Baldwin guy. Now, I'm not going to say he's awful. In fact, I'd probably say this is his best performance he gave. But I don't think he's that charismatic of a lead, as we come to find out when he's in films like Virus, the Cindy Crawford film Fair Game. Of the Baldwins, I mean, Stephen Baldwin seemed like he had more personality. Al Baldwin, when he's not shooting people, was the better actor. William Baldwin's kind of like, what was the other Baldwin? I always forget that Baldwin. Adam Baldwin's not part of the Baldwins. He's just another actor. Daniel Baldwin. Kind of like William Baldwin and Daniel Baldwin, kind of the middle ones. And I don't think William Baldwin's bad in the movie. But I do think when he's up against Kurt Russell, when he's up with Robert De Niro, you just see how he's out of his element for me. And again, I think Keanu Reeves, Robert Downey Jr., Brad Pitt, they would have been more interesting choices for this role. Or even if you change the story and it wasn't a younger brother, if it was same age brother, or just a year or two younger or older. So if there was someone like Patrick Swayze, or if it was someone like, I'm trying to think of other people at the time. Or if more of the focus was on Kurt Russell's character, and they switched it, where William Baldwin, he's the younger brother, so he seems to be the crown prince, and Kurt Russell's the older brother that's forgotten, and he was the one that saw his father die, and that's why even though he was supposed to take the mantle, he didn't. So people were either disappointed in him because you're supposed to take it, but your brother picked up for you, and your younger brother's doing better than you. Your younger brother's more of a man than you. All this stuff that messes with his head. And I wish it was Kurt Russell with Robert De Niro. I wish it was Kurt Russell as more of the lead. Because really, William Baldwin's the lead. Kurt Russell is number one, but it's more William Baldwin's movie. And that's my issue. I don't want it to be more William Baldwin's movie. I want it to be more Kurt Russell. It's Kurt fucking Russell. Now, he's in it, but I wish it was more his movie. I wish it was more his story. I wish it was more about him being the arson investigator with Robert De Niro. And, you know, he's supposed to be the older, protect his younger brother, but his younger brother goes, listen, you're the one that got scared. You're the one that ran away. Okay? Back when we were kids, Dad didn't say anything about me, but I picked up the mantle, not you. And did to the end, I wish it was reversed as well. And I think that's the thing. If Kurt Russell was playing the William Baldwin role, if they switched it, I probably would have liked the film even more than I do. But it's not a bad film at all. At all. I'm just saying that's really one of my big hiccups with it. That and the pacing. Does it just feel like it's kind of different movies where it's the firefighting movie and then it's sort of the Sounds of the Lambs movie where Donald Sutherland's kind of like Hannibal Lecter. Which I know is stupid to say because this came out in 91 and Sounds of the Lambs was that the same year? Or is that a year after? Same year, so it's just funny they both have a scene where you have your psycho talking with your lead character Tell me more about you. Quid pro quo. He doesn't say that, but you're almost waiting for Donald Sutherland to say that to William Baldwin. Quid pro quo, Clarice. But yeah, you can't say ripped off. They came out the same year. But it's like you got the firefighter movie, then you got the arson, investigator movie. So they kind of try to be two movies combined into one. So it's like it doesn't have one identity. It's kind of two identities trying to share the same regime. So it's like, okay, one's trying to get on top of the other. The investigation movie, now it's a firefighter movie, and I think they did what they could to have them sync up. And I do like Kurt Russell's performance, though. There's a bit where, even though he's drunk, he sticks up for his brother and gets in a fight with someone who's talking shit about his brother. Bruce Hornsby, I do like some of his songs, like the song "The Show Goes On." But I do like the scenes with Robert De Niro as the arts investigator. I know a lot of critics didn't like. They like, oh, why is Robert De Niro in this movie? Or apparently his techniques are not what arts investigators actually do. And apparently real arts investigators go, oh, this is laughable what Robert De Niro's doing. And no, we don't think fire is a living, breathing thing, but I don't know about that world, so it worked for me, and I think it worked fine with me. But I kind of like being in the shoes because there's not many movies about arson investigators. I can't think of many movies about that. So that's why it felt a bit unique and, felt like a nice change of pace. But again, it's one of those things where it's this one firefighting movie is about going into these firefighting situations with girls. And then it's like, oh, here's the second movie. Now it's Robert De Niro, and there's a whole thing, and it's a cover-up of J.T. Walsh and this kind of cover-up side plot. So it feels like we're in a different movie. So it doesn't all flow, as much as a single movie as compared to other movies. Like this one I'm getting at. Like you have this weird scene where you have William Baldwin and the girl having sex. But then it's being edited with ultimately Jason Gedrick being burnt up and screwed up. And it's one of those things that it's kind of a weird thing where it's like they're looking through buildings and then it cuts back to William Baldwin, the girl having sex, then it cuts back to them and cuts back to them. I guess it's trying to be some weird thing of love and loss. So while they're in love right now, then there's going to be some loss here where Jason Gedrick gets fucked up and burned. I just thought that was a weird editing choice to go back and forth. I don't think it worked as well as they wanted, if that's what they were intending. And also, like, some characters kind of disappear. Like, Jennifer Jason Leigh, there's a point where she gives this info to William Baldwin, and then seems like she never sees him again. I can't remember if she's at the very end, now that I think about it. I'm trying to remember. But it's not like an ending shot where he's going to continue his relationship with her, or they shake hands and go their separate ways. Or like Jason Gedrick. He gets burned up, and when Baldwin goes to the hospital, and they go, he'll live, but then there's no other later moments of William Baldwin going to see his friend, and his friend either talking with him, or William Baldwin trying to comfort his friend, or if Jason did like trying to live his life. Like, that character's pretty much forgotten, never to be heard from again. I thought that was kind of strange, that you never see Jason Gedrick's character again. So, And then again, William Baldwin goes back to Robert De Niro, and they save this one person, and there's a person trying to burn the place down. You get a bit of this fight, and they get out. There's an explosion, and Robert De Niro gets impaled, and he's taken to the hospital. So now it's up to William Baldwin to figure this out. And that's also, for a good chunk of the movie, your lead hero is pretty ineffective. He's kind of just the wallflower. He's the wallflower for the most on the firefighting moments and the investigation moments. In fact, the only reason he knows is because he's at his locker, he turns and he sees Scott Glenn with a burn on his back that's like the I guess he knew Jennifer Jason Leigh, and she got the papers for him. But I guess that's the whole point. Until the end, he's kind of inactive. Even at the end, it doesn't really matter, which I'll get to that, which is a bit of a weird point. But like William Baldwin's Terry, I just don't think he had the charisma or the drive to really carry this film. I think while the plot doesn't have much for the character drive-wise, I think Kurt Russell's charisma, if he was in that role, really would have driven those scenes, even if the character himself are not really doing a whole lot. And then William Baldwin goes to see Donald Sutherland, and Donald Sutherland pretty much being... I did came out the same year, but it's like Hannibal Lecter. And Donald Sutherland is creepy. Some people say he's over the top. I actually like Sutherland's performance. I think it works well, and just being a creepy motherfucker. You looked at the fire, didn't you? He worked for what he was supposed to do. Where he just sells the insanity of this character. And yeah, spoiler, you find out Scott Glenn is doing this because of these cutbacks, and these cutbacks are killing firefighters, and he wanted to teach these guys a lesson, and he wanted to keep you guys out of it. And you think there's going to be this big fight, but there's not. And it's this chemical plant, all this stuff's going haywire. There's a bit where some of the terrorists fall into his elevator shaft, and they get out of it. So Kurt Russell grabs with Scott Glenn, and you have the line, "You go, we go." Now, granted, I'm still thinking you should just let him go anyway to save yourself. But that's I guess the sentiment, the code. Even though you do have a wife and a kid to take care of, you do have commitments to other people, but... And this guy did kill people. Whether you think they deserved it or not, he did kill people, so... it did make Kurt Russell's character seem kind of moronic. Because I get his point, but at the same time, this guy still murdered people, and you still have a separated wife. But it seems like you're trying to get back closer to him, or closer to her. You still have a kid. I would feel your commitment should be more to them than to this guy. But then, okay, they both fall. Kurt Russell lands. Now it's about William Baldwin's going to save his brother. Finally, okay, William Baldwin, he's going to overcome his fear of fire. He goes in, he's saving his brother. The Hans Zimmer music being fantastic, glorious. The fire effects are being crazy. He's driving them all back. He's doing the fire hose on the stairs, and it's clearing the path. And Kurt's like, "That's my brother. God damn it." And they give him the ambulance. And then Kurt Russell dies. So it was all for nothing. No, it was for him to go cover up that Scott Glenn did this. So you don't cover up a crime, so you don't make the firefighters look bad, but you still cover up a crime where this guy murdered people. And granted, some of them might have been just doing their jobs or whatever. They did bad jobs. But at the same time, it's like you still covered up these crimes. And it seemed like that's what Robert De Niro was against. But then he's he decides to go along with it as well. That's one thing in that article I kind of agree with that I read on Collider. I do agree with that. It's like, well, it's a bit weird that you're covering it up. And Robert De Niro seemed like this is what he would be against, but okay. I'm like, that's the only reason Kurt Russell was saved for 5 minutes to say, please cover up this crime that Scott Glenn did? That's such a weird way to end the movie for me, and then Kurt Russell dying, so it still feels like he did all that for nothing. Because he didn't save his brother. Maybe his brother was like paralyzed, but at least he could live his life with his wife and kid, and some kind of saving him. But then the fact he dies, and then again, didn't like to see Kurt Russell die as well. That's why I was like, if it was reversed and William Baldwin's character died and Kurt Russell lived, I would have been more fine with it. Or again, if Kurt Russell was still alive, and then maybe it's like your brother and Robert De Niro cover for you, and he's thinking it's like, whatever you do, whatever you think best, and then he's surprised. And man, maybe this would be the last time William Baldwin and Kurt Russell talk, but at least they got each other's respect. Kurt Russell respects William Baldwin. I don't know, just that's what I mean. I just have issues with the finale for those reasons. That and not being in love with William Baldwin or his character. It's why I don't love the film. But again, I do like it. Part of me wanted to see an entire arson investigator movie with Robert De Niro. Because that'd be kind of interesting, kind of different, kind of cool to see. The firefighting sections, yes, you can't do realistic because you can't see shit in reality. But it's glorious sound design, pyrotechnics, stuntmen, insane shots that still wow you to this day. I keep repeating the beautiful music by Hans Zimmer. It works so well, and then the goosebumps going and growing. Having people like Kurt Russell, Scott Glenn, J.T. Walsh, may rest in peace, and the cast, it's definitely a big plus. I don't think it's a film that deserves to be forgotten, like it has been. I think it deserves some more noise and recognition. Not a perfect movie. Like I said, I think the pacing is kind of sluggish in certain points. The movie, I wouldn't say schizophrenic, but sometimes it's like, is it this movie? Is it this movie? It's trying to have these two films. I don't know if they blend the best. Certain characters like Jason Gedrick disappear. Certain characters like, would they really cover up this crime? And is it really good to cover up this crime? And can't Kurt Russell be the lead? The actual lead? But overall, I still do like Backdraft. And it's still a movie worthwhile in seeing, in my opinion. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.